Welcome back, everybody, to the Generation Varied podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about culture, sports, health, geopolitics, and everything in between from a diverse Gen Z perspective. I'm your host, Caleb Norris, and I'm joined here by two of my co-hosts, Ben Okenge and Jack Widener. If you guys do not know already, we are currently at DEF CON 2. Okay, there is exactly 1 week before Valentine's Day, and by the time you're listening to this, there's just going to be 5 days left. So get your affairs in order now. Ben, Jack, what do you guys have planned for the holiday and for your significant others? Or wait a second, not significant others, for your wives. What do you
Wives.
have?
Yes. Couple of married men.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we're not super big Valentine's Day people. Normally we'll do something pretty small. We'll grab some dinner and just hang out and use it as an excuse to have just a special night, but we don't do gifts or anything like that. Unfortunately, this year we're going to be traveling on Valentine's Day. We're going to Boston for a conference that I have to go
Wow.
to. So traveling kind of sucks, but and it's Boston's going to be cold in February, but we're going to make the best of it. We'll still find a way to get some quality time. What about you, Jack?
Uh, Ben, I'm jealous you're going to Boston. I've never been and always wanted to visit. Uh, so Beck and I don't really celebrate Valentine's Day. The reason is we started dating on February 13th. And another reason is my sister's birthday is on the 14th. So it's always just been like hey, I don't have Valentine's because that's my sister's birthday. But this Tuesday, upcoming Tuesday, will be our 6 year anniversary. We dated for 4 years, been married for a year and a half. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. Most likely gonna go to the Italian restaurant. We love Italian food, and there's a few spots here in Lexington we're looking to go to. But other than that, she's getting her master's at the university right now and teaching there. So we're gonna try to keep it light, not yeah.
Yeah.
But Caleb, what about you, man? What are you doing for Valentine's Day this year?
Nothing super scripted. I'm flying out to see somebody, so I'm excited about that. But yeah, nothing super put
Flying out
together.
to see somebody, you don't just fly. That's crazy.
Yeah, just every now and then you gotta catch a flight, but yeah, that's pretty much it. But no, it's gonna be a good time. Nothing like concrete set in stone yet, but definitely if you're listening to this, send your mama some flowers, send your grandma some flowers, send your sister some flowers, whoever it is. Don't let folk go without telling them that you love them and showing your affections for them somewhere. Jack, I will say that you have every single man who's married to a woman jealous that you started dating on February 13th.
That's such a hack.
That is such a hack.
Hey,
That
hey,
if you're listening to this, don't say
hey!
yes until February 13th. All right, just
It's a
till
pretty
Cooper.
good date. I'll go through these grocery stores, Walmart, unbothered by these decorations because I'm not focused about that.
Unbothered by the commercialized forced holiday that is Valentine's Day.
That's awesome. Well,
Honestly,
listeners,
Jack, if you were really strategic about it, you would have waited until February 15th, because then you could have got all the Valentine's Day stuff when nobody wants it anymore and it's on sale and all that, you know? You come out with
that's
all the
that's
chocolates,
that's
balling.
wow, that's some advanced knowledge there and advice. So, uh, the 13th is great, is good, but 15th might be greater. So I love that because they're trying to get rid of that because this is they're moving on to the next holiday. Well, listeners, as you are preparing or just getting ready for Valentine's Day next week, um, something else is happening big this weekend. I'm sure you have seen it, whether on social media, family, or just your friends. Super Bowl 58 will be hosted in Las Vegas on February 11th between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. Yeah, Caleb and let me know what are you guys most excited about for this Super Bowl. You know, whether that's the game or there's a party. Yeah, what's going on?
For me, I'm not like a huge football fan. I love sports, and so that's why I'll still get into it. But I'm definitely looking forward to the Super Bowl parties. That's since I've lived in America, that's been one of my favorite parts of like the culture here is people go all out for the Super Bowl. And last year when it was Super Bowl time, I was already starting to diet down for my bodybuilding show, so I couldn't really enjoy it. But this year, there's no restrictions. So that's what I'm looking forward to. The food, the snacks, the community, all that stuff.
That's awesome. What about you? What about you, Caleb?
Yeah, no, I'm really excited to watch. Hopefully, the Kansas City Chiefs lose. Uh, Primarily because I don't personally not a huge fan of the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, Austin Mahomes is a great quarterback. He's going to go down in history as one of the greats, if not the greatest. Um, which that's a whole other topic of conversation that we could have on another episode. But
For
You're
sure.
gonna get people mad with that take.
Yeah.
Last week it was Jack with the Taylor Swift, and now you're on this
Yeah.
with Mahomes being
This might be the
the
most.
greatest.
This might be the most hated podcast. I swear.
he might. Who knows? But I think he cracks under pressure a lot, and I think that this game is going to be obviously a lot of pressure. It's the Super Bowl, but also they won back in 2019, and so I find it like in this exact same matchup, I would find it rare that that the 49ers would come into that game not feeling like underdogs, and I feel like
Mhm.
whoever comes in and has something to prove usually pulls out the win, like
Yeah.
usually. So, I mean, Travis Kelce is an absolute unit on the field, an amazing athlete, another one of the greats. So like I'm excited to watch. I'm excited to watch the game. I haven't watched a whole lot of NFL this year because I really just got into it a couple of years ago. I've only watched college football
Mm.
exclusively up until like the last couple of years, but yeah, it's exciting to watch, exciting times, and yeah, I'm excited for the actual game.
That's all. Yeah, that's great. Listeners, just gonna take a step back here, just kind of give you more context about this matchup here. This is the second time Chiefs and the 49ers will face each other at the Super Bowl. As Caleb mentioned, they face each other in the end of the 2019 season. But at that story, the Chiefs won. So yeah, we have a great matchup. A lot of the same players are still on the current team, so there's a lot of stories that's going into this weekend. But yeah, just like Caleb, I'm excited about many things. The game. I've been watching a bit more NFL this year, just because a lot of my coworkers do. I'm looking to go to a Super Bowl party that our producer is hosting. So looking forward to all the food that comes with that and just seeing friends. So I have a friend that's new to NFL, and I'm going to try to help him pick his first a team to cheer for next year. So looking forward to that.
You're getting him
But
as a bandwagoner from day one.
yeah, I'm gonna do like all the teams he cheered for so far has lost. So I'm trying to just give him the team that maybe he can cheer for. We'll see. I don't know. But listeners, if you don't really care about the Super Bowl or the football in general, here are things maybe you should just be on the lookout for this weekend. One, the Usher halftime performance. Um, I think he's been waiting for this for a while, and now he finally has it. So I'm excited to see. He's a great live performer. So excited to see what Usher's going to bring.
Outside of honestly, outside of like Chris Brown And obviously, we don't support Chris Brown even in the slightest on this podcast. That man
That's
has a
hilarious.
woman beating punch card that he attempts to get clocked at every opportunity as he can. We're obviously not Chris Brown fans here, but outside of Chris Brown, I genuinely think that Usher is probably one of the most talented like male performers and artists like of our like entire generation. Usher is so incredibly talented. There are very few people that can sing at his caliber and dance and perform a show and have like solid music that's like broken records and that kind of stuff. So um, I'm really excited to see him perform.
Yeah, and I'm also just he's had so many hits like within, multiple decades.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious to see like which Usher are we gonna get? Cause like personally, I like R&B. I like 90s R&B, early 2000s, the stuff that I used to listen to when I was a kid, and my older siblings got me into that. And so, I'd like to hear some more of the older stuff. And I'm not talking about like, yeah, with Lil Jon. I'm talking like You Remind Me and all that type of stuff.
Classics.
Exactly.
And I'm sure you're not the only one who's excited for some classic R&B music. What I'm gonna be looking forward to, besides the Usher halftime show, is this gonna be the most viewed Super Bowl ever? Listeners, last week I predicted to be like 65, 60 million views. Boy, am I off. Just my prediction. The most viewed Super Bowl game ever was actually last year between the Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. It hit 115.1 million people.
Wow.
Incredible. So where does that leave us today? Every single game of the playoff has been breaking records for different broadcasting brands. So I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen here. And another thing I was looking into is just the ads, because in 2000, the year 2000, a 30-second ad is $2 million. In 2015, $4.25 million. Right now, for this weekend, for a prime spot for a cheap price for first quarter, it's gonna be $7 million. So it's gonna be incredible. Again, listeners, if you don't care about football or Super Bowl, here's something maybe you might be curious, is just what movies might be, what trailers going to be dropped. So this is what I'm excited for: Deadpool 3, Kung Fu Panda 4, Quiet Place Day 1, Bob Marley's One Love, Inside Out 2, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Wicked Part 1, which is the adaptation of the Broadway musical. So there are things we can look forward to. And I'm also excited that this is projected to be the most bets in a single game in history. American Game Association shared that there's 68 million Americans betting in this game, and it's going to be around $23 billion. I didn't stutter. Not million, billion.
That's insane.
Yeah. So lock those bets. And my bet is my prediction is Chiefs is going to win. So different from you, Caleb. I think they have experience. I think Mahomes is cool under pressure. I've been hearing a lot of rumors about the rain in Las Vegas is affecting the 49ers football players. So during Super Bowl, big games like this, you got to watch out for the little things that's bothering the teams, because you want to see these players be in the, a great mindset going into the game. So just a little hiccups here and there. It's all worth it when it comes to the betting your odds. So yeah, I'm excited. But Ben, what about you? What's your prediction for Super Bowl?
All right. Here's mine, and I'll explain why. And it's real petty and it's real lame. But I'm gonna go ahead and say Kansas City actually loses. And
Dang.
so I'm with Caleb.
2 versus 1?
So I'm with Caleb, but the reason why is because I saw a video literally like 2 hours ago that I thought was hilarious, and
Oh
it just
no.
suddenly made me a 49ers fan.
Oh,
And
what is it?
it was someone had made an Instagram reel that said, "You guys don't realize that if the 49ers beat the Chiefs, they have the opportunity to do the coolest thing ever." And it was a video of all of the 49ers players running through the tunnel after a win, and the song that was playing was Famous by Kanye West. And listeners, if you don't know, there is a very controversial line in that song, one that has to do with maybe making Taylor Swift famous. And I just think that that was so clever. Like, whoever thought of that, shout out to you. I loved it. Just that whole idea was hilarious to me. And for that very stupid reason, I'm saying thumbs down to Kansas City.
Wow. Bold picks over here.
Well,
Um,
we'll find out on the next episode, though, right? We'll
yeah,
we'll find out.
Yeah, and
yeah, I might
listeners,
look
we
stupid.
want to know what you think. We want to know what you're most excited about. Is it the commercials? Is it the game? Is it Taylor Swift surprise halftime show? Who knows? Or are you just excited for things outside the game? So the parties, seeing your friends. Yeah, there's so many cool things and cultural traditions that that comes to Super Bowl, and that's something I never really experienced until I came to the U.S. and especially during college. Like that's one of the times where everyone gets together to
Yeah.
watch a game, and whether you cheer for the team or not, you're there, and I think it's amazing. So I'm excited to see what this Super Bowl will bring us this year, and hopefully, yeah, hopefully my the Chiefs will win.
Yeah, well, Jack, you bring up college, and as I think back to our time in college, um, we, the three of us, for those of you who don't know, went to college together at a small school in Kentucky. And one of the things that goes on in small schools is that,
I want to pause here and say, notice he didn't say the name of it. He didn't say the name of it for
oh,
several reasons.
oh,
But
don't do that to me, Caleb. I am a
the biggest
proud
reason,
Asburyan. I am a
the
proud.
biggest reason is we not giving away no free promo on this podcast. All right, y'all gonna have to cut a check just like everybody else. Okay, ain't no free promo.
Exactly. No, I am not
That's
ashamed of
too
where I went to
funny.
school. Yeah, I'm a diehard Asburyan. Uh, but
That's too
anyway,
funny,
in the
Caleb.
time that we were there, one of the things that you notice about going to a school that small is that there's certain trends and just things that people do
Oh
that
yeah.
catch on and grow, and it's like suddenly everyone's doing it. And one of them that I've been thinking a lot about lately, because I feel like it's making kind of a resurgence, is 75 hard. Like, do you guys remember that when we were in college and it just felt like every other person was like, oh yeah, I'm doing 75 hard right now?
Yes, I have. I believe my roommate did it. I believe a lot of my friends in the international community did it. So yeah, it's very aware of like what it goes comes with that. I listened to the podcast, even like what even is the purpose behind it. Yeah, so yeah, definitely aware of what 75 hard is.
Yeah, I've heard it. I don't think I've ever completed it, for being honest. But I've attempted it before, and my thing is this: I don't like starting over when I'm not doing that. All right, ain't no way all of my progress just means nothing if I miss like one thing. So like I'm not personally a participant in it anymore, but yeah, it's definitely has come and gone with the trends. Um, but yeah, and I've got my opinions on it. But Ben, tell us about 75 Hard.
Yeah, just a little bit of background on what it even is. This is a challenge that started in 2019. It was started by Andy Frisella, who is the CEO of a supplement company called First Form. And there's like a whole book about it and everything. I never read that. I'm not super interested in reading it, to be honest
My,
with you. I feel
so
like
my
you don't need a whole book to describe a simple challenge, but could be a money grab. I don't know. Um, Essentially, what the challenge is, it consists of 5 rules of that you will continue to abide by for 75 days straight. And those 5 rules are: number one, you need to stick to a nutrition plan. And it could be any nutrition plan of your choice, depending on whatever your goal might be for that. But one of the rules for that would be that you're allowed no alcohol and no cheat meals. Rule number 2 is you got to have 2 45-minute workouts a day, one of them being outside. Rule number 3 is drinking 1 gallon of water a day minimum. Rule number 4 is reading 10 pages of nonfiction self-improvement books per day. And then rule number 5 is taking a progress picture every day. So as I go through the 5 rules of that challenge, Jack, tell me which one of those stands out the most to you. Which one do you have an opinion about? What stands out?
In my experience from people who I know have done this, though, well, do you think it will be the hardest is the 2 workouts a day? It actually is the 1 gallon of water that which is surprising to me. Yeah, but now like when I visualize doing that, like a whole gallon a day, like that, I guess like it is really hard. But yeah, I think the time that I have seen people doing it, they have, for those who committed, have completed this, they always feel great at the end. And at the same time, Caleb, at the other side, like some people is, they want to develop confidence, but this also could not build confidence because you didn't complete something. Because you can
Mhm.
listen to like, hey, if you break this commitment, you are A, B, and C. You're a
Right.
quitter, loser, whatnot, and those things you start to describe yourself with those adjectives, which can become a identity, in which what we don't want. So yeah, so I think it's a very extreme challenge, and I think it has helped a lot of people. For those who are truly seeking discipline, at the same time, I don't think it's something for everybody.
Mm,
If you're just trying to get in shape.
right. What do you think, Caleb? Which one of those pops out to you the most?
I think the 2 45 minutes a day and one of them being outside is difficult for most people. I think my perspective on things in general is this. Number one, I don't personally feel like the challenge is indicative of real life,
Hmm.
because when you're doing any sort of challenge, or when you're, I mean, even like this podcast, it's like, even how we set all of this up, it wasn't just like, oh, like we were consistent for X amount of days, like all the way through, and then like this great thing happened. Like, progress is rarely ever this linear sort of experience, right? We
Hmm.
have highs, we have lows, and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm not personally a fan of saying like, oh, well, like you've got to start over because you missed one portion of this, but you're on day
Mm-hmm.
50. It's like all of the work that you did for 50 days should not be suddenly invalidated, because, and like all of your progress lost because you made one mistake, right? So
Right.
I'm not personally a huge fan of the challenge. There's a 75 like soft challenge that I did last year, which was basically, it's very similar, only instead of 2 workouts, I think it's just 1 workout. Instead of 10 pages of a self-help book, I think it's just 10 pages of reading anything, just getting your mind, working. And then instead of a gallon, I think it was like a liter and a half or something like that of water.
Mhm.
Um, and most of us are not getting the amount of water that we need in general. So any consistency with getting, a good amount of water in you is going to be good for you. So
Yeah.
I've done that before, and had seen some great progress in my own life. This past year, I went on a health journey, lost about 45 pounds. So I'm very much in the idea of have a plan. I don't personally think that 75 hard is the plan for me. I don't think it's that conducive for everybody in general. Um, but that's just me. I'm not pooping on it for everybody else that's listening. If you want to try it and you want to do it, good for you. I also am not a fan of self-help in terms of isolation. There's sort of this movement where people think
Mm,
like, if I want to turn my life around, I really need to isolate myself from everybody and change everything about myself. And in some scenarios, absolutely, you do, right? But I know for myself, and Jack, you've been one of those people. I've put you and Juan Vidal in a group message, and I'm like, hey, I need you guys to hold me accountable to doing X, Y, and Z at this time, and I'm gonna check in and make sure that I've done that because I need accountability. And I know for myself, um, I'm a lot more social of a person, so if I'm gonna learn and grow, it's gonna be around people, it's gonna be in
yeah.
community. Isolation is never the move for me personally if I want to see results.
Yeah, I mean, I could not agree anymore. I echo everything that both you guys said. Um, One of the things as I was reading up about this, to be honest, I wanted to talk about this for a little while, and I kind of realized like, wait a minute, I don't actually know where this started, what the real rules are. I had an idea, but I had never really looked deeply into it until I was prepping for this podcast today. And so I guess the main ideas behind it are things that I'm all about. I think they're super important. You know, self-improvement, mental toughness, physical toughness. These are things that will help you be successful in life. Now, do I think that this is the way to do that? No. For a lot of the same reasons that you guys mentioned, but then I could give a million more. And I won't bore you with those, with all the reasons I could come up with. But some of the main ones are just like, number one, to me, all these all these ideas just seem so arbitrary to me.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
why 75 days? Of course, I haven't read the book, so maybe there is a real reason behind it. But to me, 75 days just seems like an arbitrary number of days. And then 45, two 45-minute workouts, one of them being outside, super, like, I don't know, doesn't seem very purposeful, very intentional. Like any nutrition plan, super vague. I could go eat Chick-fil-A every day and call that my nutrition plan as long as I only eat Chick-fil-A and stick to that. 10 pages of nonfiction reading. Sometimes I've learned more from fiction reading than I
yeah,
have from nonfiction self-help books. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So just some of these things are like vague and just don't seem very purposeful to me. And I think
yeah,
that if you're going to do a challenge that the aim is to improve yourself, you should have purpose behind every single thing that you do for that. It shouldn't just be a random set of things that somebody thought was a good idea and you just hop on board because other people are doing it. So those are some of the reasons. Um, but then also, like we talked about, just is this a sustainable lifestyle? Um, does it even work? You guys have known lots of people who have done it. Personally, I tried to count earlier today, and I think I know about 14 people who have tried it. Not a single one of them finished it. Um, and they end up feeling like failures, like Jack was saying.
Hmm.
And it's like Caleb said, all that progress was still real.
yeah,
And
yeah,
at the end of the day, 75 days is such a short window to make progress and make real change. And like we said, it's not sustainable.
yeah,
As I looked into the rules more deeply, I don't say this to brag or say, like, yeah, I live the 75 hard every day. But when I look at them, I do pretty much every single one of these things on a daily basis. And I do not consider that I'm living the 75 hard. I don't go around telling people that. But as I was thinking back on all these things that I do, they didn't just come on one day where I decided I'm going to turn my life around. Like, for example, the 1 gallon of water. I started drinking 1 gallon of water a day when I was in 11th grade. That was one decision that I decided I want to drink a gallon of water every day. And since then, I just kept that habit up because there was one change that I wanted to make. So I would encourage all of you listeners that, like, if this is the kind of a journey that you want to go on, like Caleb mentioned his fitness journey that he's been on, this is a lifestyle of his. He didn't lose 45 pounds by doing a 75-day challenge. He did it by adapting his lifestyle one little tweak at a time. And over long periods of time is when you really see that change. So I just think that this kind of challenge can reinforce this hurried, get rich quick type of mentality that's so prevalent in our culture.
Yeah,
Ben, love what you just shared there. For the listeners who like maybe they are currently looking into it or finding something like you said, like physical toughness, mental toughness. You talk about shifting one thing in your day to make you better or in your fitness journey. But what about the mental part? Or I mean, like, what where would you point them to if they want something like super challenging in the next, let's say, time, like there's a time frame, like 30 days or a year, like where should they go? Like, what would you recommend?
Yeah, I would say, again, be intentional about it and have a purpose. So, for example, if you have a goal of wanting to get stronger and that is your primary goal, then make your one habit, your one change, starting to lift weights. You know, find what that one main thing that you would like to change is, and find one targeted intervention that's going to address that change that you want. Don't try to do it all at once. And you can stack these. You can say, hey, for this next month, I want to get 8 hours of sleep every night for 30 days. Then when that 30 days is up, you can keep
yeah.
doing that habit and add maybe one more and just stack these small wins. And overall, it's going to lead you to a much bigger win.
I couldn't agree more, Ben. I think one of the things that like I realized is that when I was in therapy, I was taking like this checklist of like everything that I was gonna do every single day, and it was this really long list of like these are the things I'm gonna do every single day, and these are the things that I'm gonna avoid every single day. And what I realized was that when I was bringing that in to my therapy session, trying to like be held accountable, stop doing all of it, was that I hadn't really staggered all of that progress on. And so it was very easy to get 3 or 4 days in and just have a crap day and like, well, completely off, from this original training plan. And so what I found really worked for myself is really just sort of staggering these habits and viewing it as a lifestyle change versus a challenge or a diet or anything like that. Like I never say like, oh, I'm on a diet.
Mhm.
This is just how I eat, right? And so for me, what I noticed is that like when you start staggering things, and like over the summer, I went through a really really tough depression, and to get out of it, I basically said I'm just going to start with this one thing of self care, and I'm going to do it every
Mhm.
single day.
Yep.
And then in a week, it turned into, okay, now I'm making my bed every morning. And before I go to bed, I'm going to do like my skincare routine or whatever that is, right? Those are my two things that are just going to be constant. And what I noticed is that as I staggered things like that, my life improved so much better because I was building confidence that I could stick to a routine and that I could deliver on the promises that I said to myself. And something that I just believe wholeheartedly in is that confidence comes when you have a good internal reputation with yourself.
Yes.
When you say
100%.
that you're going to do something, or when you have an idea and you follow through on it, or when you have a desire to do something, and you make an intention to do something and you follow through on it, that's when confidence comes. And so I completely agree with everything that you're sharing, Ben, and be intentional with yourself and with your health.
Yeah, 100%. And that, I don't say any of all these things to deter people from 75 hard if that's something they really want to do. However, the last thing I'm going to say about this is if after hearing this, you still want to do 75 hard, I'm instilling a mandatory rule number 6, which is going to really be the filter for if you want to do this. And rule number 6 is you're not allowed to tell anybody you're doing it. All right.
No virtue signaling.
I
All
better
right.
not see on your Instagram, I'm doing 75 hard. Okay. I don't want to see that. I don't want to hear it when in our conversations. If you're really
Tell him.
about it, and
Tell
if
him.
you are doing it for yourself, don't tell anyone. So that's what I'll say is my amendment for 75 hard is rule number 6. Keep it to yourself.
We
Don't tell
listen.
New,
anyone.
We don't want no updates. We don't
new
want
rule alert.
picture of Yo Gallon at 2 p.m. almost there. We don't want to see any of that. All right.
Man,
Pack it up and leave it alone and go somewhere with that energy because we don't want it. Okay. Keep that mess to yourself. Okay.
100%. Yeah. I think that's just a good rule of thumb for any action that you do is would you do this if social media did not exist?
Yeah. Don't talk about it. Be about it. Well, cool, y'all. We are going to we're gonna change topics here. We said that we were supposed to talk about politics on this podcast, and we haven't yet. But it's episode number 2, so we are going to talk a little bit about what happened in the Senate this week. There was a hearing in the Senate over how children and teenagers, young adults, are interacting with social media. A lot of different CEOs from some of these companies came together. So one of the things that really stood out was Senator Tom Cotton, who is a senator from Arkansas, is being criticized for questioning the TikTok CEO Xiaozi Chu at length on Chu's citizenship and whether he had a relationship with the Chinese Communist Party during a heated hearing this past Wednesday. So Senator Cotton pressed the CEO as he was testifying in that Judiciary Committee hearing on child safety. And the specific line items of questioning were this: have you ever been a member of the Chinese Communist Party? Chu replied, Senator, I'm Singaporean. Cotton then asked, have you ever been associated or affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party? Chu, who lives in Singapore with his wife and children who are American, responded, no, Senator. Again, I'm Singaporean. People, let me see here, trying to read down. So Chu said, yes, I think it is well documented. He's making reference to Senator Cotton asking him about Tiananmen Square. He says, yes, it's well documented that there was a massacre. And so Senator Tom Cotton is basically just berating this man over and over again on and using pretty anti-Asian rhetoric, basically saying that all Asian people are the same or look alike or are all associated with the Chinese Communist Party. This is going to be more opinion. I cannot think of something more vile to do in the Senate than to be this blatantly racist towards somebody else. I understand, and I think it is warranted to have reservations about people's affiliations, and I understand maybe asking a single question. If you need clarification, maybe asking 2 questions, but I believe that there were 6 direct questions asked about Chu's origin and his allegiances, which I find I cannot think of something more vile. It was an embarrassment as a citizen of this country that somebody was being questioned like this. Also, if you listen to any of the hearings with any of the CEOs of these companies, our senators just flat out embarrass themselves every single time because they are so disconnected from what's going on with technology as a whole. And it was thoroughly an embarrassment this past week. Jack, Ben, after I've shared to you some of this transcript here, what are your guys' thoughts?
I had a chance to watch a few clips, so I'm not sure it was last year. The TikTok also had a hearing, basically just about data. Fair reason, but and they need to be questioning where is this data being stored. This time it's more about the sexual predators, the addictive features, how there's targeted ads. These are things that needs to be questioned. Because a lot of people hurt for it, suicide, eating disorder,
Yeah.
cyberbullying. Like these are real issues that any parents, I wish no parents will have to experience with their kids. Like these are serious concerns,
Yeah.
and needs to be addressed. But if you had a chance to watch not interview, the hearing, and just what's happening, it feels so, I don't know. It just feels disconnected, stubborn questions. How is this? Yeah, it's just kind of embarrassing, like you said. And um, I've seen a lot of influencer from the Asian community kind of spoke up, just like, you know, how is this happening
Yeah.
today? And if anywhere at the Congress hearing, because these are supposed to be the most brilliant leaders in the world, leading the people, speaking for the people, for the people. So to hear just the way, even if choose a CEO or someone who's not, like, you should never be dehumanized like that in
Yeah.
front of everybody. And so yeah, yeah, it's just so interesting. And I can't imagine what he's feeling, and also anybody who has experienced that at any, from a friendship level to something in the workspace. Yeah, it's pretty terrible.
Yeah, honestly, like the first time I saw the video, I didn't think it was real. I thought it was one of those videos that people make where they like chop up different clips and then put them
Mm-hmm.
together to make something funny. Because after his first mention of China, the CEO was immediately like, "Yeah, I'm from Singapore. Like, I served in the military. Like, it's not just like he was in the military for 3 years." And he mentions that, and the senator just clearly didn't know that Singapore was not China. And that to me was the most shocking part, just the like absolute ignorance. It was almost like he's like, "Yeah, yeah, I know you said you're from Singapore. That's China." Like, and that was like absurd. Um couldn't believe it. Like Jack said, all of the concerns that they're talking about are legit. These are things that need to be happening. But when you see who are the ones in charge of running these conversations, it definitely makes you wonder what the outcomes are going to be. You know, like if these are the people who are responsible for protecting children online, and don't even know that Singapore and China not the same place. Like, that is very, very alarming.
Yeah, I just think I think it was very out of line, in general. I mean, I don't understand how people can like sit next to somebody, spouting off, racist rhetoric like that and not say something. Like that's just, it was baffling to me that nobody stepped in and was like, dude, move on immediately. So it was very, very, and honestly just embarrassed to see, elected members behaving that way.
Yeah,
Um,
but honestly, shout out to Chu for keeping his composure because
Mm-hmm.
he just
oh,
kept answering the questions with a straight face, and he had the perfect opportunity to make Senator Cotton look like an idiot and just say like, you do know those aren't the same, right? Like, and I think had he done something like that, the shock value would have been unreal. It would have been funny. I like that type of
Mm-hmm.
deal. But
listen,
I'm also proud of him for keeping that composure.
listen. Had I been on the stand, I'd have been like, Senator, would you like me to get you an atlas or something? Like, I'm sure that we could get one here for you since you're unaware of, basic geography. Like, I'd have ate them up.
Hey,
I really
reason
have.
reason number 14 why Caleb is not a U.S. senator right now.
Listen, I'm
You
being
be
so
wilding
serious.
out.
Like, politics is just not for me. Like, I can't, like, there's no way I'd have sat there with a straight face, somebody disrespecting me like that. I'd have been like,
Yeah.
sure, I'm sure we can produce an atlas for you, and I'm happy to provide you some resources through the TikTok fund to help you, in your educational journey, since the American education system has failed you thus far, in terms of like, I'd have ate him up. I'd have ate him up. Like, I'm sure I would have said something like, I'm sure, the TikTok educational resources can definitely be shared with you, at no expense. I would have, oh my God. Anyways, moving on to moving on to Sunday night, which was the Grammys. So this past Sunday, the 66th Grammy Awards were televised on CBS. So we're going to run through some of these quick highlights. So
I'm excited.
all of the major televised awards were won by women this year for the first time in history.
Wow. Air claps, air claps.
Air claps. We're gonna. Gosh, I wish I had my little MIDI keyboard. I could put some clapping here, but yeah, no, I thought it was great. Great to see. Did you guys watch the Grammys, Jack Ben?
I did not.
Yeah.
The-
I watched the Grammys. The main reason why I watched was because I knew Jay-Z was getting an award, and my wife, huge Taylor Swift fan, and so she, you can expect that she's going to be mentioned. She will be there, and so it was on TV, kind of more of a background thing, and but man, when Jay-Z got up there and started talking.
COVID
Back
did
to 2008 with Kanye, or was that 2007, 2008, something like that. But yeah,
Dude, you're spot on. So here are some highlights here from the night. So first of all, Jay-Z accepted the Dr. Dre Global Impact Award. In his acceptance speech, he criticized the Recording Academy for how they choose Album of the Year. So Hova, to those of you who don't know, Jay-Z has several, nicknames or alter egos. Hova is one of them. Jigga is another one. Jigga Jay-Z. Shout out his 90s music was the best. But anyways, he said this because it's music and it's opinion based. But some things, I don't want to embarrass this young lady. He pointed to his wife Beyonce, but she has more Grammys than everyone and never won Album of the Year. So even by your own metrics, that doesn't work. Think about that. The most Grammys and never won Album of the Year.
yeah, he killed me, bro. He said, "At least get it right."
Listen,
At least
the
get it right.
Grammys. The Grammys said this is what they said at the debrief meeting on Monday. We got to stop inviting black folk to this. Okay,
All these
next
rappers
year,
gotta get out of here, man.
these black folk are ruining our beautiful evenings out here wilding out. So I was like, I was watching it and like cringing a little bit, like, "Ooh, I don't know where this is gonna go." I
Yeah.
think he kept it pretty respectful, but he did call attention to something, which is that Beyonce has never won Album of the Year, but she laps everybody in Grammys like more than twice. She has 32 Grammys. She's the most awarded single individual at the Grammy Awards. She's the most awarded woman in music of all time. I obviously could talk about Beyonce for hours and hours, but I do think it was a really important call out just in general. And he's not wrong. He said, some of you are going to get robbed, and some of you don't deserve to even be in the category.
Mm-hmm.
He said it.
That was when I sat forward in my seat, when when he said that, I had been like snacking and I was leaning back. When he said some of you don't deserve to even be in the category, I leaned forward.
I was like, I felt like Sutton from Name 'em, name 'em, name 'em, Jay-Z, name them. Okay, I
He's a
want
man
names.
of class. He's not doing that, Like you said, he got up there, he said what he needed to say, but he wasn't being too specific.
Yeah, I mean, I think he did a really good job of number one supporting his wife. It's funny because it was very much a black family thing. He said that, and immediately after accepting that award, the family left, and I was just like, if that ain't a black family of get your stuff, we leaving.
Pick it up.
All right. I laughed so hard. It was a great moment.
The other thing he said that cracked me up was when he was like, "You guys don't have to laugh at everything I'm saying." Like he killed
No
me.
way.
Yeah.
He was saying some real stuff, and people thought he was joking, so they kept laughing. And he was like, "No, This is not funny. I'm being dead serious right now.
Listen,
Z
that
is tired.
Mhm.
He's
he
tired.
pulled he pulled the classic like black Unc, like Unc really showed up and was like, listen,
Mhm.
I'm standing on business, all right,
Mhm.
business. So shout out Jay-Z, we want you on the podcast too. So a couple of other highlights here. Miley Cyrus took home her first Grammy. She took home two at the end of the night. Her performance was amazing. She was channeling very much Tina Turner, and both her wardrobe as well as her performance. So she did amazing. Victoria Monet. Uh, Victoria Monet actually won. I believe she won 3 Grammys. It was her first time she won Artist of the Year. She is such a talented artist. I was actually put onto Victoria Monet like a couple of weeks ago. She's amazing. Love her so much. Jack Antonoff won Producer of the Year for the 3rd year in a row. Ugh, it's boring. It's tired. We know he's a great producer. He makes great music, but also we got to switch it up. And then the last but not least, SZA
Oof.
was robbed for Album of the Year, and it was given to Taylor Swift for her album Midnights. Now, this isn't just my opinion. Actually, Billboard, a representative from the Billboard Hot 200 or Top 200, actually made a statement saying, what does it take to actually win this award? Because SOS stayed #1 for 10 weeks as an album, which was the longest of any other album in that category for 2023. So they were very much like, what does it take then? Because like this album outperformed everything else. So I thought that was interesting. And then speaking of Taylor Swift, a lot of viewers were disappointed to see Taylor Swift win Album of the Year over SZA, but most importantly, they were disappointed with her interactions with Lana Del Rey and Celine Dion. For those of you who did not watch it, she basically dragged Lana Del Rey up on the stage with her. Lana Del Rey was also in the category and technically lost that Grammy to Taylor Swift.
Yeah, that's awkward.
So it was very cringe to watch. Like, imagine losing an award and then the person who won the award and has won a ton of awards and has always beaten you in this category and the other categories that you win drags you up on stage for their acceptance speech.
Yeah. It's like, hey, come get this front row seat. I'm about to show you how this is done.
I don't
Wow.
like criticizing Taylor Swift because I think enough people do already, but I will say I did think that it was in poor taste. I don't think she's a malicious person, that she did it on purpose. I just think it's one of those things where it's like, read the room. Lana Del Rey technically just lost this to you. So like, thought it was a little cringe. And then also Miley Cyrus earlier in the night accepted her first Grammy from Mariah Carey, who is a legend, obviously. I mean, one of the top selling artists of all time globally. And she spent like half of her speech basically just honoring Mariah, saying, I can't even believe that I'm accepting this from you at this point. So Celine Dion, who has not been singing, she has not sang for the last 2 years. She hasn't really even been making public appearances because of her recent health issues. Celine Dion was giving that award to Taylor Swift, and she sort of just took the award and turned over and started making her speech. And people were really disappointed that she didn't pause to sort of embrace Celine Dion and/or acknowledge how Celine Dion paved the way for artists, or there was no homage paid to Celine Dion, right? Again, I don't think that Taylor Swift is malicious. I think she was caught up in the moment. And also, like in Taylor Swift's defense, Celine Dion has stiff persons syndrome, which is a disease that affects your muscles and that kind of stuff. And so I understand not wanting to like put your arms around somebody or extend a hug to somebody that you know might not be physically well. So I give her some grace there, but I will say that it was not a good look to drag the person up on stage that just lost the award and then not acknowledge Celine Dion in a proper way. So those are some of the highlights from the Grammys. Jack, Ben, any final thoughts as we close out this episode?
How fast will this be a most hated podcast? I'm just kidding. no, I love it.
If you hate
I
it, I want you to tell everybody how much you hate it. All right, because we can't get the word out about this podcast,
For
and
real.
no publicity is bad publicity. Okay,
For
so
that is the truth, Caleb. No, I didn't know any of that stuff that happened. I heard about what Z shared when he went on stage, but everything else, no, I didn't. That's so interesting, and it's so I don't know. Sometimes I don't get caught up in terms of like celebrity drama and who is talking to who, but once in a while, especially at these award ceremonies, it's always fun to see everyone in one place, and there's always something brewing, and yeah. But I think overall, it felt like a great night. It seems great performance. It sounded like from you said Miley Cyrus performed.
yeah,
Yeah,
she did.
so yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I would say just some of the big takeaways, the lessons from today. Number one, place your bets this Super Bowl because it's big money season.
Chiefs,
Number
Chiefs,
two,
Chiefs.
number two, make self-improvement a step-by-step journey rather than all at once. Number three, please go get educated so that you can represent your country a little bit better.
Play
Yeah, number
Kahoot with the countries.
number 3.2. Don't be racist.
Yeah, read a map. And number four, Jay-Z can say whatever he wants. So
Whatever he was.
those are going to be the big takeaways from today for all the listeners. Any final words, Caleb?
Final words. Shout out Jack and Ben for co-hosting this with me. Shout out our executive producer, Sophie St. Furman.
Thank you, thank
Sophie,
you, thank
you're the
you.
person that's keeping this podcast together on the technical side. So shout out to you. Thank you for all your hard work. And we will see you guys back on Friday of next week. And we will talk to y'all then.